Now that we know how to write the equation of a line in slope-intercept form, we're going to look at how to use another form called point-slope form. Point-slope form is y minus y sub 1 equals m times the quantity x minus x sub 1. In this formula, the x and the y are not going to change. They are going to remain variables. But the y sub 1, the m, and the x sub 1, you're going to substitute numbers in for all of those. The way that you'll do that is you'll use a point that you're given, and the point that you're given will be going in for x1 and y1. So for example, if you were given the point 5, 6, you would put in the 5 for x sub 1, and you'd put in the 6 for y sub 1. And then the slope will still go in for m. After that, you will change point-slope form into slope-intercept form by distributing the slope across the parentheses and then solving for y, either using addition or subtraction. And then after you've completed that step, your answer will be in slope-intercept form, which would look like y equals mx plus b. So let's try one. We would like to write the equation of the line that goes through the point 6, -3 and has a slope of -2. So the 6, -3 is your point. The x1 will be 6 and the y1 will be -3. Your slope will be your m. So we're going to start with our formula for point-slope form, and we're going to plug in the three variables, or numbers for the three variables. Remember that the x and the y are not changing. The x sub 1 we said was 6, the y sub 1 we said was -3, and the m was -2. Now, you might remember from middle school that when you subtract a negative, that's the same thing as adding a positive. So we're going to change the y minus -3 into y plus 3. And at this point, we now have the equation of a line written in point-slope form. What we'll do next is we'll change it into slope-intercept form by making it look like y equals mx plus b by distributing the slope and solving for y. So in this question, we'll distribute the slope, which is -2, and we'll come up with y plus 3 equals -2x plus 12. And then we'll isolate the y by using inverse operations and subtracting the 3. 3 minus 3 is 0, y plus 0 is y, so it's sort of like those 3's are canceling out. And then on the other side, we have the 12 minus 3, which is 9. So our final answer for this question in slope-intercept form is y equals -2x plus 9. Let's do one last one here with a fraction. This time our point is -3, 0. So x sub 1 is the -3 and 0 is the y sub 1. And our slope is 1/3, so that's going to be going in for m. Start with our formula and plug in the three values that we have. Recall that subtracting a negative is the same thing as adding, so we're going to change this to x plus 3 on the right-hand side in the parentheses. And on the left, remember your identity properties. If you add or subtract 0 to something, it stays the same. So y minus 0 is just y. And this would be our answer in point-slope form. And then to change it to slope-intercept form, that's where we'll distribute the slope and solve for y. So to distribute the slope here, we've got 1/3 times x, which is 1/3 x, and 1/3 times 3, which is 1. And then we actually kind of get to skip this last step because it just happened that our y sub 1 was a 0, which means we don't need to solve for y. The y is already isolated.